Years of age, and the MPT driver doing an excellent job to finish third in the first race behind Andres Batman and Anthony Abbas. Fourth on the grid, fourth in the race earlier on was Sean Slavin. In fifth position was Jan Vuncek, the Austrian driver who's been a winner of the Hungarian karting championships. And then in sixth place earlier on was Oriol Dalmo Caballero, the Spanish driver. Seventh in the race this morning was Tadatsuka Makino from Japan. Another Finnish driver, Morten Nom, was 8th. Ken Alleman from Switzerland came through to 9th, and Michael Christensen, the Danish driver, completed the top 10 in the first heat this morning. So that was how they rounded out. Andres Batman with a win under his belt already and starts this race from pole position. Tadatsuka Makino qualified on the front row of the grid, but went back a little bit in that first race to 7th position, so he'll be looking to come good. Rasmus Makinen was, I think I'm right in saying, down in 9th place at the end of the first lap, but came back very strongly to finish in 3rd position, the Finns. I've been pretty impressed with him. The first 7 drivers in the earlier race coming from completely different countries. Sweden won, France was 2nd, Finland was 3rd, British driver 4th, Austrian driver 5th, Spanish driver 6th, and a Japanese driver in 7th place. Might be racing in Europe, but this is a true international championship with drivers of pretty much every continent having been represented here this year. I think Antarctica was the only continent that wasn't represented, and that's because there aren't any kart tracks or kart races in that part of the world. But from everywhere else, every other corner of the globe, they've arrived to race with us this season. So Andres Batman in good form on pole position. It's worth pointing out, though, that at the end of the race, Sean Slavin was probably the quickest driver out there. He was certainly reeling them in, so we'll see what he can do. Into the pits has come Ken Alleman. So Ken Alleman comes into the pits with a problem at the end of the first formation lap. So looks like he's going to be here for a while as well. So Ken Alleman is going to join the race late. Yes, he's getting out of the kart, so that's a real shame for him after a pretty good first race. There's the Masters division as well for the drivers aged 32 and above. And the winner of that this morning was Tamsin Germain. She finished 14th overall. Tamsin winning the Masters division earlier on. Martin Pearce was second to her. Martin got bumped down the order at the start of the race, had to fight his way back, and did a good job to get back to second in class. And third in the class was Florent Lambert, who finished a few places behind them in 18th position. So Tamsin Germain has the slight upper hand at the moment. I'm afraid Ken Alleman's got out of the car and taken his helmet off now, so it looks like he's going to miss this race, I'm afraid. That means we'll be down to 24 runners, and they're coming round at the end of the second formation lap, bunched up and looking like they're going to get underway first time. They are. DD2 then. The 9-lap race gets underway. The top 2 make contact with one another. Andres Batman gets a bit of a whack there from Makino as they go through the first turn. He still hangs on to the lead of the race, though. Andres Batman, though, as the outside row man tried to come across at him, there was contact between the pair of them. Side pod hit side pod, but they both got away with it. Batman has kept his nose in front at the head of the field. Everybody safely through turns 2 and 3, up into our view at this sweeping left-hander at turn 4 now then, with Andreas Batman leading the race. Sean Slavin has come through and into second position. So Slavin through up to second place from the second row of the grid, and he certainly seems to have the pace to hang on to the leader based on what he did in the earlier race. It's just that he lost too much time really in the first 4 or 5 laps, but so, as I said, at the end of the race, he was flying. So we'll see what he can do now that he's had this good start to the race. Through they come. Turns 7 and 8. Right then left. Slow the carts down. Tight entrance into, well, I suppose is almost a huge wide sweeping hairpin, because the cart does come back on itself. The corner onto the start-finish straight. Sean Slavin having a little glance up the inside. Makino down in 3rd place. Jan Vuncek up to 4th position. Sean Slavin having a luck up the inside into turn 2. Got alongside, then had to back off out of the move, and Makino's going to pounce as a result of that. Makino, the Japanese driver, will get him into the next corner at turn 3. So Slavin tried a move. It failed, and as a result of that, he had to get off the throttle, and that cost him his own 2nd place. So Makino back out of Slavin now. Slavin with the 627 kart. Jan Vuncek going well in 4th place, just behind them, making a decent start to the race. Abbas and Markkanen were both in the top 6 at the end of the first lap as well. They've switched around at the start of this lap, so with the white helmet, Markkanen has got back up to 5th. Anthony Abbas, who was 2nd in the race this morning, has dropped back down to 6th position. The race leader's just scarpering away again, though. Andreas Batman doing what he did in the first race. Once he got clear through that first lap, he really got his head down in laps 2 and 3 and broke the toe. And once he'd done that, they couldn't catch him up. So Batman looking controlled in the lead of the race. Sean Slavin's got back up to 2nd position. Makino is back down to 3rd place. Vuncek 4th. Markkanen 5th. And Abbas in 6th position. They slow up as they go through turns 2 into turn 3 now. The right-hander, they make their way. And then you'll see them coming back from the right to the left of your screen, swooping back into this left-hander at turn 4. Look at the lead that Andreas Batman has. 2nd and 3rd are still tied together. Slavin and Makino. Vuncek in 4th, but with Markkanen in 5th place right behind him. Abbas and Dalmo Caballero are in the mix as well. And a bit of move there for 4th place. That changes around, and Vuncek gets pushed back down the order. So he falls back a couple of places in that second group of karts in the race to see who wins the Masters category. At the moment, Martin Pearce is leading that particular battle in 16th place overall. Thomas Peart is 2nd in the Masters in 18th place, and in 19th place Tamsin Germain is 3rd within the category. Florent Lambert's had a bad start to the race, and he's the last of the runners in 24th position. As see 1 or 2 changes further back inside the top 10. There's going to be another change for 4th position here between Markkanen and Dalmo Caballero as they fight each other going through turn 2. Andres Batman then leads the race by a 2nd. He was ever so slightly quicker than Sean Slavin on that previous lap, but they're lapping within a few hundredths of a second of each other. And then still Makino 3rd. It's still Markkanen in 4th place. Abbas and Dalmo Caballero keep swapping places for 5th. Vuncek is in 7th place. Gruber is in 8th. Nom is 9th. Kevin Ludi 10th. Maxi Fleischmann 11th. Abdullah Arwahawi 12th. Tom Pitlick has made some good progress at the start of this race, and he's up to 13th position now. Loser 14th. Christensen 15th. Martin Pearce leading the Masters category in 16th place. They're coming up towards the end of another lap. And there you can see on screen this big advantage that Andres Batman has. But has it begun to come down? Yes, it has. Sean Slavin was a 10th quicker on that lap, so the gap for the first time comes to under a second now. So Batman just beginning to be caught now by Sean Slavin. And the pair of them pulling away from Makino in 3rd position. In 4th place then Markkanen. And then in 5th position Abbas. Just been told that there's going to be a penalty applied for number 683, Tadatsuka Makino. I'm told by Mike Wagner in timekeeping, he's going to receive a 10-second penalty for a jump start. So Makino is in 3rd place on the track, but he'll be having a 10-second time penalty added to his time at the end of the race, and that is going to bump him right down the order. So effectively, that's going to put Markkanen up to 3rd, Abbas up to 4th place, and Dalmo Caballero will move up to 5th position. Up to 6th place will come Vuncek. A 10-second penalty at the moment is going to put him down in about 17th or 18th place, I would say. So he just needs to get on there and pull away from everybody behind him as much as he can. Yes, a 10-second penalty would put him down into 17th or 18th place, looking at the screen. So Makino with his penalty to add to his time. The gap's gone out again from Batman to Slavin from 1st to 2nd. And Christensen is back up into 14th. Martin Pearce has picked up another place in 15th, still leading the Masters class. And Tamsin Germain has come up to 2nd in that class now. She's moved ahead. In fact, Thomas Peart has lost a few places. So Tamsin Germain is 2nd in the class. Santander is 3rd. Lambert is next up. Another Masters driver, Adrizani, comes into the pits with a problem. So Adrizani into the pits and effectively out of the running, although he's hoping to get the car fired back up. And yes, he will rejoin now, but having lost about half a lap or so. Coming up towards the end of lap number 6 then. We're at 2/3 race distance. Andreas Batman goes across the line. Sean Slavin chasing but not catching. Makino 3rd on the track, but don't forget with a 10-second penalty to be applied to his time. He's going to be right down the order with that. So Markkanen is 4th on the track, but effectively in 3rd place. Abbas will move up to 4th. Dalmo Caballero will move up to 5th. And Jan Vuncek will move up into 6th place once that time penalty is added on. Martin Pearce is about 2.5 seconds ahead of Tamsin Germain. He's got 2 karts in between him and Tamsin as well in this battle for the Masters honours. Nice smooth start from Andres Batman. He's looked very, very supreme and confident and relaxed in the kart. I haven't seen him outside of the kart this weekend, but he has just looked comfortable, I think is the best word to describe it. In control, happy to be in the lead of the race. And for somebody that's not been necessarily leading races very often in the Euro Challenge this year, he's been in the mix, that's for sure. He did well to finish just outside the top 10 of the championship. But he looks like somebody who is very happy to be leading the race and very comfortable with it, not feeling the pressure at all, driving very well and just maintaining this advantage, banging in quick lap after quick lap, successively, constantly, smoothly. He leads the race. He pulls out another 1/10 of a second advantage. So the gap's creeping out all the time now between him and Sean Slavin. Makino's still there, third on the track. The 10-second penalty will put him down, I reckon, to 16th place. It will now be 16th place. Tom Pitlick is 13th, but he'll move up to 12th position. And he's onto the tail now of Abdullah Arwahawi, and not far ahead of them is Kevin Ludi. So battle developing there on the fringes of the top 10. Andreas Batman makes his way into turn 9. This will be the completion of lap number 8. So he's about to start the final lap of the race. Andres accelerates over the start-finish line. Now, through he goes. Second and third, dropping a little bit further back this time. Good battle going on, though, between Anthony Abbas, number 687, and Oriol Dalmo Caballero, who's right behind him. They're 5th and 6th on the road, but they're fighting for 4th and 5th positions, given that the driver ahead of them, Makino, is going to get this 10-second penalty. So Abbas just hanging on to the position for the time being. Caballero right on his tail, but unable to get through. Jan Vanček is a little bit off their tail as well, trying to reel them in. Nom, Gruber and Fleischmann in the top 10 on the track. Kevin Ludi will move up into the top 10 with this penalty applied to Makino. And we've still got Martin Pearce in 16th place, leading by just under 2 seconds there from Tamsin Germain. Tamsin closing the gap. Only one kart in between them now, but Martin should have enough in hand here to hang on to take his victory in the Masters class. That will give them a win apiece. And the flag now being readied. Andres Batman comes out of the last corner. And there he is. Andres takes his second win of the day. He wins fairly comfortably once again. Not quite the advantage that he had in race 1. That was a win by 1.8 seconds. But 1.2 seconds is still quite a big gap in kart racing. Sean Slavin, a very good drive through the second place. And now with this time penalty being applied, Makino being bumped down to 14th place. That's where he ends up. So he picked up a couple of places late on. But with the 10-second penalty applied, he's 14th. So Batman wins. Slavin is second. Markkanen finishes in third place. Abbas 4th. Dalmo Caballero finishes 5th. Vanček 6th. Nom 7th. Gruber 8th. Fleischmann 9th. Arwahawi 10th. Ludi 11th. Christensen 12th. Pitlick 13th. And Makino with that penalty down in 14th place. Pearce up to 15th and winning the Masters class. He got ahead of Loser in the end, who was 16th, Baptista, and Germain 17th and 18th. So Tamsin Germain second in the Masters class. In 19th place, Florent Lambert was third in class. So that means that Martin Pearce and Tamsin Germain have now both had a win apiece in their class and a second place finish each. Confirmation of the results on screen. This is all subject, of course, to the post-race checks. But Andres Batman for Strawberry Racing getting his second win of the day. So he is obviously now the favourite for pole position for the pre-final, but he still needs a good third heat to make sure it happens. Sean Slavin second for Paul Car Racing. Rasmus Markkanen third, the Finnish driver for MPT Racing. Anthony Abbas in fourth place, the French driver for Sodi Kart. Oriol Dalmo Caballero, the Spanish driver in fifth place for Motor Club Cryxel. For VPDR, Jan Vanček sixth, the Austrian. For Finland, Martin Nom, part of the X-Racing team, in seventh. Henris Gruber coming home in eighth position. And Henrik travels from Latvia to be here. The German driver, Maxi Fleischmann, was ninth. In 10th place, Sanad Arwawi. Kevin Ludi 11th. Michael Christensen 12th. Tom Pitlick 13th. Tadasuke Makino. His races aren't going very well today. He qualified well yesterday, but in the first race he fell back from first to seventh. In the second race, he goes from second back to 14th. Martin Pearce, as I say, wins the Masters division in 15th. Revo Loser in 16th place. And Enrico Baptista at 17th for the Dan Holland Racing team. Tamsin Germain there in 18th place, but second in her class. Florent Lambert 19th. Jesus Perez Santander 20th. Florent third in class. Jesus fourth in class. Juan Taran 21st. Ilja Aloskins 22nd. Thomas Peart had a problem and lost a lap, so he was 23rd. Placido Adrizani had to come into the pits and lost half a lap and finished a lap down on the leaders in the end in 24th. Ken Alleman never got to start the race after a problem. He retired the kart after the first formation lap, so a disappointing second race for him. So that's the second batch of heats now complete. We're going to have a short break now before we move into our third batch of 3 races, the next of which is due to start in just about half an hour's time, just under half an hour until the next race. Then we've got 3 more races to come for you today here from Zuera in Spain. Race number 7 in half an hour's time.